In this presentation, we're going to enter a purchase order requesting inventory from a vendor. We will be setting up a new vendor and new inventory item as we do so. Here we go with Xero. Here we are in our Get Great Guitars dashboard. We're not going to be opening the reports this time because we're going to be entering a purchase order. No financial transaction related to it. Let's just review the process of the purchase order. We're going to go into the QuickBooks desktop just to look at the flow chart as we see the purchase order. So remember, the purchase order we can think of up here in the vendor section. We're ordering inventory. We can imagine in our setting that someone comes into our shop. They're in our guitar shop. They're asking for a guitar. They want a particular guitar, and therefore we're going to order it custom for them possibly, where we would send out a purchase order for it. Purchase order, not something that we've paid for yet, not something we have received, no financial transaction for it. Later then, we expect to receive this guitar in the mail, or we're going to get it in our shipping warehouse or whatever, and it's going to have a bill on it at that point in time. And at that point in time, that's when we're going to record the invoice on the books. So let's go ahead and do this, and we're going to go back into Xero. Going to select the plus button up top. We're going to go on down to our purchase orders. We're going to be making a new purchase order. We're going to have a new vendor. So we have an imagination that someone came in and we're like, hey, we got a lot of nice Epiphone guitars here, and they're saying, no, I really want a Fender guitar. And it's like, well, we haven't dealt with Fender, which is a different vendor for us, but we can contact them and see if we can get a Fender guitar for you. So that's what we do here. So now we're going to have a new vendor, new contact vendor, which is going to be Fender, who sells guitars. So Fender is our new vendor. I'm going to type that in. It's going to be a new contact. So I'm going to say, yep, that's what we want. I'm going to say that this is going to happen as of the 9th. So we're making this request for the inventory as of, we're going to say the 9th. So I'll say the 9th here, and I'll bring it on down to the item. We're going to have to set up a new item here because we've never dealt with Fender, this new vendor, and therefore never had the inventory item. So now we're going to set up an inventory item, which we're on the purchasing side. Haven't purchased it yet, but we are requesting a purchase with the purchase order. So the item code I'm going to say is an SQ. It's going to be SQ, and it's going to be a Squire guitar. We're going to purchase it for the unit price. We're going to purchase it for $168. That's what we purchase it for, not what we sell it for. Purchase account, we're going to be going to the cost of goods sold account. Is it taxable? Yes, it is. What's going to be subject to the actually not tax up top, not on the purchase side. We're not going to include the tax. We will put it on the sales side for us. So then the description is going to be a Squire. We're going to have that. We do sell these items, so I'm going to sell them too. I'm going to select this item. The unit price we're going to sell them for is going to be something above the cost, of course, $244 in our case. We're going to put this to an income account, and it's going to be a merchandise income account. So we want the merchandise income as opposed to the service account. Here's where the tax rate applies. This is a taxable item. We're going to apply that tax rate for us, which is the 9.5% that we set up. Then we're going to say that we do want to track this inventory as well. We want to have another schedule that will track this inventory for us. It will be tracking that inventory in the inventory asset account. So note, we set this up in the beginning. We set these items up in the product and service section. Here we can set them up kind of on as we go. As we enter the PO, we can enter the inventory item, which is nice. Let's go ahead and save that, and it should populate for us. It says the cost of goods sold cannot be empty. So for some reason, this went back down to 0. I could have swore I put something in there. And there we go. So let's try it again. I'm going to say save and see what happens. It looks like it's going to pick that up for us. So there we have it. And it's populating for us and everything. So everything looks like it should. Now note, in our scenario, we actually are purchasing it for a particular customer. The vendor doesn't care about the customer, that our customer. But we might want to put it in our note or something like that to reference the fact that this guitar is being purchased for a particular customer. So we might go down and say, maybe I'm going to add a note here and say this is for customer, and the customer's name is New Music Stuff. All right, that's the customer name. And so we could say that because in our case, we're going to connect this once we get the guitar. We're then going to use the purchase order to create then an invoice to bill the customer. Now, if we're going to create another one, I can hit approve, or I can select the drop down or the drop up in this case, the rise up, and we can say I want to approve and add another one. So approve and add another. And here we have it. Now this one's going to go to our existing vendor, which is Epiphone. Epiphone is going to be the one that we work with most often here. The date is going to be the 9th. So let's put this back up to the 9th of February. And then we're going to have the item for Epiphone. We want the ELP, the Epiphone Les Paul. That's going to be our standard guitar that we have a lot of those. We'd like to order 3 of those. Again, this time not ordering them for a particular customer, but this time just having them in the shop. These are the ones that we want to basically have in the shop. These are our best sellers. We like to show people the Epiphone Les Paul here. So we're going to order 3 of those. Don't need a reference because they're going to be for the store. So I'm just going to say approve there. So we have that in place. Now, of course, these do not affect the financial statement, no effect on the balance sheet or the income statement. However, we do expect for these guitars to be showing up in our inventory area. Shipped to us at some point from the 2 vendors, Fender and Epiphone. And if we want to monitor this information, we would go down to the bills you need to pay. Again, this isn't a bill that we're paying, but this is where the bills and purchase orders are. Bills on top, purchase orders on the bottom. Here's the 2 purchase orders that we currently have outstanding. This is what we're expecting to receive in the mail, these guitars, along with the bills related to them. Once we do, we can go into this section, create the bill, and for the one that we had a customer for, Fender, then we can create the invoice directly from these purchase order or this purchase order data.